These 10 mountains have always been worshipped by people and have gone down in history. The 10 highest mountains in the world. Number 10 is the Annapurna one with 8,091 meters. Located in the Himalayas, Annapurna is the least climbed 8,000er and one of the most dangerous. As of March 2012, only 190 climbers had reached the summit. 61 mountaineers died. Nevertheless, with his first ascent on June 3, 1950, he was the first 8,000er in history to be successfully scaled. The Annapurna one harbors an extreme avalanche danger. There is one fatality for less than 3 successful ascents. Number 9 is the Nanga Parbat with 8,126 meters. The Nanga Parbat is the only 8,000er in the western Himalayas and is considered the largest visible, freestanding mass elevation on Earth. The wall to the south, Rupal Flank, is also the highest mountain face on Earth with 4,500 meters. The Nanga Parbat is one of the most demanding 8,000ers among alpinists. The simple normal route, Kinshufar route, is extremely at risk of avalanches and falling rocks. On July 3, 1953, the Tyrolean Hermann Buhl made the first ascent. By then, 31 people had died in an attempt to climb the mountain. In 1970, the brothers Gunther and Reinhold Messner climbed the entire, extremely difficult Rupal face, south face, for the first time, and also managed the first traverse of Nanga Parbat. But Gunther Messner died on the descent. Number 8 is the Manaslu, with 8,156 meters. The name Manaslu comes from Sanskrit and means mountain of the soul. In 1956, Manaslu was first climbed by a Japanese expedition via the northeast flank. In 1981, the two Austrians Sepp Millinger and Peter Wargatter managed the world's first descent from an 8,000 meters peak on skis after climbing the summit. Number 7 is the Dhaulagiri with 8,167 meters. The White Mountain was the first discovered 8,000er and was considered the highest mountain on Earth until 1838. But it was only the penultimate 8,000er climbed in 1960. Special about this expedition, for the first time, and so far unique in the history of mountaineering, the equipment and the expedition members were flown to Base Camp 2 at an altitude of 5,700 meters using a small aircraft. Number 6 is the Cho Oyu with 8,188 meters. Cho Oyu or Kowalwayag is an 8,000er in the Himalayas. It is located in the central Himalayas and was climbed for the first time on October 19, 1954. The border between China and Nepal runs across the summit of Cho Oyu. Number 5 is the Makalu one with 8,481 meters. Makalu is located east of Mount Everest on the border between Nepal and the autonomous region of Tibet and was first climbed in 1955. The special thing about it, all members of the 9-strong team managed to reach the summit, a first in the ascent of the world's 8,000ers. And in 2009, the first woman reached the summit of Makalu. Number 4 is the Lhotse with 8,516 meters. The fourth highest mountain on Earth is connected to the highest mountain in the world with the 7,986 meters high South Col. From the Lhotse, there are more than 3,000 meters high cliffs, which, due to the enormous difference in height and the extreme height, are among the most difficult and dangerous walls in the world to climb. The first ascent was made by a Swiss expedition on May 18, 1956, and on October 16, 1986, Reinhold Messner stood on the summit of Lhotse, together with Hans Kammerlander. This ascent completed Messner's plan to conquer all 14 8,000ers. Number 3 is the Kangchendzönga with 8,586 meters. At 8,586 meters, the Kangchendzönga is the third highest mountain on Earth, which, in addition to the main summit, offers 3 other peaks over 8,000 meters. George Band and Joe Brown made the first ascent on May 25, 1955, stopping a few steps short of the actual summit to show respect to the beliefs of the Sikkimians, who venerate the summit as a sacred mountain. Many successful ascents have kept this tradition, also because the last few meters of altitude no longer offer any mountaineering difficulties. Austrian Gerlinde Kaltenbrunner was the second woman to reach the summit in 2006. Kaltenbrunner is the third woman to climb all 14 8,000ers and the first to do so without carrying supplemental oxygen. Number 2 is the K2 with 8,611 meters. At 8,611 meters, K2 is the second highest mountain on Earth and the highest in the Karakoram, a mountain range that stretches across northern Pakistan, India, and western China, and includes Broad Peak, 8,051 meters, Gasherbrum 1, Hidden Peak, 8,080 meters, and the Gasherbrum 2, 8,034 meters, and is therefore home to 3 more 8,000ers. The K2 is considered by mountaineers to be the most difficult of all 14 8,000ers. Achille Compagnoni and Lino Lacedelli made the first successful ascent on July 31, 1954, and it was not until 1977 that a Japanese expedition managed the second ascent, albeit via the same route. In 1986, the first ascent was made over the extremely difficult and extremely dangerous south face. To this day, no other climber has been able to repeat this route, which Reinhold Messner described as suicidal. So far, 298 different mountaineers have climbed the summit of K2 in 302 ascents. Only 4 climbers have summited twice. Number 1 is the Mount Everest with 8,848 meters. Mount Everest is located in the Himalayas and is the highest mountain on Earth at 8,848 meters. It is also one of the 7 summits, the highest mountains on each of the 7 continents. Sir Edmund Hillary and Tenzing Norgay were the first to climb this giant on May 29, 1953. 25 years later, on May 8, 1978, Reinhold Messner and Peter Habeler managed to scale the summit for the first time without additional oxygen. The youngest climber is American Jordan Romero, who reached the summit in 2010 at the age of 13. At the age of 80, the Japanese Yuichiro Miura was the oldest person on the summit in 2013. He was also the oldest person ever to climb an 8,000er. Today, there are 20 routes on Mount Everest. The 2 standard routes are the South Route and the North Route. The other routes are technically much more difficult, and for the most part, have only been climbed once. The goal is always the approximately 2 square meter summit plateau.